Have you ever looked at a superhero and seen something familiar? Not the cape, not the magic, something deeper, something human. Look at Doctor Strange. A brilliant surgeon, a man with golden hands and an ego the size of a planet. He had it all, and then he lost it all. Does his story sound a bit like the journey of someone battling addiction? It might seem a stretch, a man fighting cosmic demons and a person fighting their own inner ones, but strip away the spells and the mystical realms, and what are you left with? You are left with a story about a man who thought he was a god, who was brought to his knees, and who had to learn to be human again before he could become something more. It's a tale of recovery, plain and simple. The path is surprisingly similar, isn't it? It starts with pride, a powerful denial that says, I am in control. This is the high-functioning stage, where the addiction, or the ego, is managed. It's working for you, or so you think. Then comes the crash, the moment you can no longer pretend. This is rock bottom. After that, the desperate search for a quick fix, any magic pill or secret trick to get the old life back. When those fail, you are forced to seek real help, often from a place you never would have considered. This leads to the hardest lesson: humility. It's about letting go of what you thought you knew. Only then can you find a new purpose, a new way to live, often by helping others. And you learn that this journey never really ends. Doctor Strange walks this path step by step. His addiction isn't to a substance, but to his own brilliance, his status, his ego. He's hooked on being the best, on being Stephen Strange, the master surgeon. This identity is his drug. When his hands are shattered in a car crash, his supply is cut off. He can no longer perform surgery. He can no longer be the man he was. He loses his identity, his purpose, his control. He crashes. His journey from that moment of despair in his high-tech apartment to the humble steps of Kamartaj mirrors the painful, necessary, and ultimately beautiful journey of recovery that so many people walk every single day. So let's look closer. Let's unravel the story of Doctor Strange, not as a sorcerer, but as a man in recovery. We will see how his arrogance was a form of denial, how his accident was his rock bottom, and how his quest for magic was really a quest for healing. We will explore how learning to bow, to serve, to accept that he didn't have all the answers, was the real magic he needed. This isn't just a story about a superhero learning to cast spells. It's a story about a broken person learning to live again. It's a story that shows us that the greatest power we can find is the power to change ourselves, from the inside out. Before the fall, there is always the pride. Doctor Strange lives in an ivory tower built from his own success. He is the best neurosurgeon in the world, and he makes sure everyone knows it. He listens to music during complex brain surgery. He cherry-picks cases that will make him famous. He is arrogant, dismissive, and completely self-absorbed. This isn't just a personality flaw, it's a fortress. His ego protects him from feeling anything too deeply, from connecting with anyone too closely. It's a powerful form of denial. He believes he is invincible, that his intellect and skill make him a god among mortals. He is completely addicted to this feeling of superiority. This is the high-functioning stage of addiction. On the outside, everything looks perfect. The addict is successful, powerful, in control. They hold down a prestigious job, live in a beautiful home, and command respect. But underneath, the addiction is the one truly in charge. For Strange, his addiction is his ego. It dictates his choices, isolates him from genuine relationships, and blinds him to his own humanity. His colleague and former lover, Christine Palmer, sees the cracks. She tries to connect with the man behind the mask of genius, but he won't let her in. The denial is too strong. He believes he needs no one, and nothing but his own brilliance. The problem with this kind of denial is that it makes you fragile. You build your entire world on one thing: your job, your intellect, your ability to control everything. For Strange, it was his hands. They weren't just hands. They were the source of his power, his identity, his godhood. He worships them. And when you build your life on such a narrow foundation, it only takes one accident, one crisis, to bring the whole thing crashing down. His denial made him reckless. He was speeding in his Lamborghini, distracted, looking at new cases on his phone. He was untouchable, remember? He was above the rules that apply to normal people. But the universe has a way of reminding us that we are all very, very normal. This stage shows us a universal truth about any problem we refuse to face. Denial feels safe. It feels like control. We tell ourselves, I've got this handled, or it's not that bad. We build walls of success, intelligence, or humor to keep the scary truth out. But denial is a prison we build for ourselves. It keeps us from growing, from connecting, and from being truly whole. Dr. Strange, in his expensive suit and fancy car, was more trapped than he would ever be in any mystical dimension. He was trapped by his own mind, a prisoner of the belief that he was the master of his own universe. The crash was not the beginning of his problems. It was the moment his existing problem became impossible to ignore. Then comes the fall. The car crash is brutal, violent, and absolute. It is Dr. Strange's rock bottom. In an instant, the one thing he built his entire existence upon is destroyed. His hands, the instruments of his genius, are shattered. The nerves are shredded, held together by a web of metal pins. They tremble uncontrollably. He can no longer perform surgery. He can no longer be the person he was. The ivory tower collapses, and he is buried in the rubble. This is the moment the addiction, his ego, can no longer be sustained. The denial is shattered as completely as his bones. He is forced to look at the truth of his situation. He is broken, helpless, and alone. What follows is a descent into despair. He spends his entire fortune on experimental surgeries, traveling the world, seeking any cure that will restore his hands. Each failure pushes him deeper into anger and frustration. We see him in his apartment, surrounded by medical files, his beard grown out, his face a mask of rage. He lashes out at the one person who still tries to help him, Christine. He cruelly tells her she doesn't understand, that his problem is bigger than hers, more important. This is the lashing out of a cornered animal. It's the desperate, ugly stage of hitting bottom, where the pain is so immense that you push away the very people who could help you heal. This is a powerful picture of what rock bottom feels like in recovery. It's a state of utter hopelessness. The old life is gone, and there seems to be no way forward. The substance or the behavior no longer works. It doesn't provide the escape or the feeling of power it once did. All that's left is the wreckage. The money is gone, the relationships are damaged, the career is over. You're left with nothing but the raw, unfiltered pain of your reality. For Dr. Strange, seeing his trembling hands in the mirror is a constant, agonizing reminder of everything he has lost. He is no longer a god. He is just a man with scars, both inside and out. Yet rock bottom is a strange and paradoxical place. It is a place of absolute despair, but it is also a place of potential. It is only when you have lost everything that you become willing to try anything. It is only when all your old solutions have failed that you become open to a new one. The pain of staying the same finally becomes greater than the fear of change. Dr. Strange had to lose his identity as a brilliant surgeon before he could find his new identity as a sorcerer. He had to hit the floor hard before he could look up and see a different path. Rock bottom is not the end. It is the painful, necessary, and fertile ground from which a new life can begin. After hitting rock bottom, the search for a solution begins, but, it's usually a search for the wrong kind of solution. Dr. Strange isn't really looking for healing. He's just looking for a fix. He wants his old life back. He wants his hands to be steady again so he can return to being the celebrated surgeon he once was. He hears about a place called Kamartaj, a place where a man who was paralyzed was able to walk again. But he doesn't go there seeking spiritual enlightenment. He goes there, honestly, seeking a medical procedure he doesn't even understand. He travels all the way to Nepal, a broken and desperate man, still clinging to the hope of a quick magical cure that will put everything back the way it was. This mindset is so common in the early stages of recovery. We don't want to change who we are. We just want to get rid of the consequences of our actions. We want a magic pill, a secret technique, a weekend retreat that will cure us so we can go back to our old ways of thinking and living, but without the mess. Strange arrives at Kamartaj with this attitude. He is arrogant and dismissive. When the Ancient One speaks of healing the soul to heal the body, he scoffs. He calls it New Age nonsense. He wants a surgeon, not a guru. He is still trying to solve a spiritual problem with a material mindset. He still thinks he knows best. The Ancient One sees right through him. She knows he is not there for the right reasons. She sees his pride, his pain, and his potential. So, she does something radical. She doesn't argue with him. She shows him. With a simple touch, she pushes his astral form out of his physical body. She sends him on a terrifying, mind-bending trip through the multiverse. She shatters his narrow, scientific worldview in a matter of seconds. He is confronted with a reality so much bigger, so much more complex than he ever imagined. He is shown in no uncertain terms that he knows nothing. It is a terrifying and humbling experience. This is the moment of surrender, but not a peaceful one. It's a forced surrender. After his trip through the cosmos, he is dumped back on the floor of Kamartaj. He is no longer arrogant. He is terrified, bewildered, and desperate. He begs her, "Teach me." This is a pivotal moment. For the first time, he is admitting that he doesn't have the answers. He is asking for help. It's not a clean or noble surrender. It is the plea of a drowning man. But it is a start. He has finally accepted that his own methods have failed. He has opened the door, just a crack, to a new way of thinking, a new way of being. The desperate search for a fix has led him accidentally to the path of true healing. The first and most difficult lesson at Kamartaj is humility. For a man like Stephen Strange, this is honestly harder than mastering any spell. He is stripped of his fancy clothes, his watch, his identity. He is just another student in simple robes. He struggles. He can't even conjure a simple spark of light, while other, less brilliant students are creating elaborate shields and weapons. His intellect, which was once his greatest asset, actually gets in his way. He tries to understand magic, to force it, to control it with his mind. But magic, like recovery, cannot be forced. It must be surrendered to. It requires you to let go of your ego and your need to be in control. The Ancient One pushes him toward this lesson. In one of the most powerful scenes, she takes him to Mount Everest. He is freezing, his hands are useless, and he is about to die. He complains that he can't do it, that he isn't ready. She tells him it's not about him. She abandons him there, forcing him to either use the sling ring to create a portal or, well, freeze to death. In that moment of absolute crisis, he finally lets go. He stops trying to think his way out of the problem and instead feels his way through it. He surrenders. And in that surrender, he finds the power. He creates a portal and saves himself. He learns that true strength doesn't come from intellect, but from letting go of it. This is the essence of learning humility in recovery. It's the realization that your best thinking got you into this mess. You have to learn to trust a process, a higher power, or the guidance of others who have walked the path before you. You have to accept that you are not the center of the universe. Mordo, another master at Kamartaj, constantly tells Strange to silence his ego. He teaches him that the power they wield is not their own. It is drawn from other dimensions. They are channels, not sources. This is a profound spiritual lesson. Our talents, our strengths, our very lives are not solely our own creation. We are part of something much larger. Humility is also about accepting imperfection, both in yourself and in your mentors. Strange eventually learns that the Ancient One, his enlightened teacher, has been drawing power from the dark dimension to prolong her own life. She is not perfect. This revelation could have broken his faith, but instead, it deepens his understanding. It teaches him that everyone is flawed, everyone struggles, and that recovery is not about achieving perfection. It's about striving to be better day by day despite our imperfections. He learns to see his teachers not as gods, but as fellow travelers on a difficult road. This acceptance is the key that unlocks the next stage of his journey, finding a purpose beyond himself. Once humility is learned, the door opens to a new purpose. The journey of recovery shifts from being a selfish pursuit, how can I fix myself, to a selfless one, how can I help others? Dr. Strange did not go to Kamartaj to become a superhero. He went there to fix his hands. But as he lets go of his ego, he discovers a cause much bigger than his own personal healing. He learns about the mystical threats that face the earth, about the sorcerers who dedicate their lives to protecting reality. He sees his teachers, Mordo and the Ancient One, fighting not for fame or fortune, but for the good of all. He is slowly drawn out of his self-obsession and into a world of service. The turning point comes when the zealot Caecilius attacks the London sanctum. Strange is terrified. He didn't sign up for this. His first instinct is to run, to go back to his old life. He even says, this was a mistake, but he is forced to fight. He uses his intellect and his newfound clumsy magic not just to defend himself, but to protect an ancient artifact and, by extension, the world. In that battle, he is no longer just Stephen Strange, the broken surgeon. He is a defender. He is part of something important. The fight gives him a taste of a new kind of satisfaction, one that doesn't come from personal glory, but from contributing to a greater good. This shift from selfishness to service is the heart of long-term recovery. Many recovery programs are built on this principle. Once you have found some stability, you turn around and offer a hand to the person still struggling behind you. This act of helping others does more for you than it does for them. It keeps you humble. It reminds you of where you came from. It gives your own painful experiences a new meaning. Your scars become a map that can help guide someone else through the darkness. Dr. Strange's journey embodies this. He uses his sharp mind, once used to build his ego, to outsmart a cosmic entity far more powerful than himself. He uses his knowledge not to heal one person's body, but to save all of reality. His final confrontation with Dormammu is the ultimate act of selfless service. He doesn't overpower the demon. He sacrifices himself over and over again. He traps them both in a time loop, willingly enduring endless death and pain to protect the earth. Dormammu, I've come to bargain, he repeats, not with arrogance but with grim determination. This is a man who has found a purpose so profound that his own life, his own suffering is secondary. He has completed the transformation from a man who would only take cases that made him look good to a man who would give his life for people who would never even know his name. This is the magic of service. This is the ultimate healing. The movie ends, but the journey doesn't. Dr. Strange has become the Sorcerer Supreme, the protector of the New York Sanctum. He has a new title, a new purpose, and well, a cool cape. But he is not cured. Recovery is not a destination you arrive at. It is a path you walk for the rest of your life. Every day presents a new choice to live by the principles you have learned: humility, service, and acceptance. The post-credit scenes in the Marvel Universe often show us this. Strange continues to face new threats, new challenges to his ego, and new moral dilemmas. His growth is ongoing. He will make mistakes. He will need to learn and relearn the same lessons. This is a crucial message for anyone on a path of self-improvement or recovery. There is no magic graduation ceremony where you are suddenly perfect and free from all problems. Life will continue to be life. There will be good days and bad days. There will be times when the old ego, the old patterns of thinking will try to creep back in. The real victory is not in never falling down again. It's in getting back up every single time. It's about having the tools, the support, and the humility to recognize when you are slipping and to correct your course. Doctor Strange's story doesn't end with him fixing his hands. It ends with him accepting his new role, with all its burdens and responsibilities. Think about Mordo, who leaves at the end of the film. He cannot accept the imperfections of the Ancient One or the unnatural path Strange has taken. He is rigid, unable to bend. This shows us that not everyone who starts the journey finishes it in the same way. It reminds us that recovery is a deeply personal path, and we must focus on our own progress, not on judging the path of others. We must learn to live with ambiguity and imperfection. Doctor Strange accepts the messy reality of his world, while Mordo cannot. This acceptance is a sign of true spiritual maturity. It is the ability to live in the gray areas of life, not just the black and white. So what can we take from this wizard's tale? We can see that even the proudest, most broken person can find a new way to live. We can learn that hitting rock bottom can be a gift, a painful but necessary start to a better life. We can see that asking for help is an act of immense courage, and we can understand that the ultimate power lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering the world within us. The journey is long, the path is not always clear, but every day is a new chance to let go of the ego, to be of service, and to live above the problems that once defined us. Like Doctor Strange, we can all learn to turn our greatest wounds into our greatest strengths.